What's up, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Leadoff Show. It's April 24th. We got a 7-game main slate here that we'll walk through. So, hope you guys had a good weekend. It wasn't too great for me. I think between the 2 Saturday and 1 Sunday, I think I cashed one of the 3 slates. So, not the best, but always enjoy Monday and Tuesdays. Usually have some pretty good sized slates and some good contests. So, we can jump into it real quick, go through it and see what we like so far. On the weather front, all we have really is kind of some cold temps in the Midwest and North area. So it's going to be cold in Cleveland. Don't think that one's even on the slate, so don't have to worry about that one. New York, Minnesota, another cold game. And Roth just says ball doesn't travel well in cold weather. So just something to be aware of. I think we have the Twins again against Brito. So we can go through that when we get there. But let's filter here by this slate so we don't waste time. Another games, we can just hop right in. First game is White Sox at Blue Jays. It's kind of an interesting slate. Between the 7 games, I think we have 3 domes. So not too much weather edge, I would say, on this slate. So it's kind of unique in that front. But White Sox Blue Jays 3.71. The White Sox 4.79 for the Blue Jays. Lance Lynn versus Chris Bassett. Lynn, I think, is interesting in this spot. He just hasn't been good this year. We would expect a lot more out of him. Let's say one good start against the Twins, but he is good against right-handed batters. And the Blue Jays really don't have a lot of guys that can platoon against him. It's kind of the biggest thing. I think Lynn might be in play, especially at that price, 8.4K. There's not a ton of cheap pitchers that I like on this slate. We might name a few if you really want to take a chance on, but that 8.4K price range is going to be interesting. But I don't know. I almost just want to see it with Lynn first. He isn't. I don't know. It could be the pitch clock. It could just be he's getting old. He's got some mileage on that arm, so I'm probably out, but it is worth noting, though, that he's usually pretty good versus right-handed batters, and the lefties that the Blue Jays can platoon in there, I'm not too worried about. But I don't know. With that being said, after pulling it up, strikeout numbers are a little low, even from these righties, so I'll probably go elsewhere in that 8K range. I think we have Cobb, who's there, but I don't know. Cobb's 8.9, so might be interesting. But I think the other pitcher in the 8K range that we're going to want is on the other side, and that's Chris Bassett at 8K. I would certainly like him over Lynn in this spot. The White Sox are kind of a weaker offense right now without Tim Anderson and Yohan Moncada. Definitely been underperforming, and Bassett seems to have gotten right after, I think he had a rough opening day start. Or start of the season, minus 14. But he's been good since. So I think he's probably your chalk pitcher in the 8K range. If Sonny Gray or Jordan Montgomery or someone like that starts getting steamed up as the SB2 after Strider, I would love Bassett even more in this spot. But I would not be shocked if he's the SB2 just with his price. Other guys are all around 9K and up that are in consideration today. So I think at that price range, it's probably Bassett as your SB2. And I don't know. That's who I would be most confident in at this point. So looking at this offense for the White Sox, I really would only have interest in lefties, which they don't have much of. I mean, we're looking at Benintendi, Grandal, and Colas. Maybe Benintendi. I don't know. I still don't like that either, though. Bassett does garner a lot of ownership. If he's like 40% owned or something, I could see, I guess, maybe going to Benintendi, or you can even take Eloy righty. But look at Bassett's numbers here against righties. Huge or great ISO number for Bassett against righties, 0.097. So just be wary taking righties against him. I'm probably out on the White Sox. At most, it would just be a one-off, but no interest there in in anything more than that. The Blue Jays kind of in a similar spot. I mean, like we talked about, Lynn's pretty good against righties. He's been terrible this year, though. So I think maybe just kind of targeting the middle of this order, like Guerrero, Varsho, Chapman. I think it'll be okay. Belt's been pretty good this year for the Blue Jays. I think he should Did have a pretty good season, finally being out of San Francisco. So for the full stack, I'm probably out on the full stack. Lynn's probably just good enough to limit the full stack, but I do love playing a few different Blue Jay bats. So if you end up getting to a full stack, I don't hate it, but I probably just kind of focus here at the heart of the order with Guerrero, Varsho, Chapman so far. So all right, we can jump ahead to the next game. We have Marlins versus the Braves, 65 degrees. Winds blowing out at 9 miles an hour. 2.73 total for the Marlins, 4.77 for the Braves. We have Edward Cabrera, 7.8K. For Spencer Strider, 10.9K. Cabrera is certainly interesting. He's high K upside, but he's certainly struggled with walks this year. I think he had that no-hitter earlier in the year. Yeah, 2 innings, seven walks, but no hits. And this Braves lineup, I mean, kind of saw it with Javier yesterday. They can roll out a stinker of a lineup for sure. Yeah, we know 1 through 4 is good. I would say Ozzy's good. But I mean, he's facing a righty, so I would. He struggles more from the left side than he does from the right. I mean, this bottom of the order is pretty bad. With that being said, I think the top's probably good enough to warrant staying off Cabrera. I think that's just getting too cute. At 7.8K, that's tough. If he was like 6K or something, I could argue for it. Yeah, I mean, look at these power numbers up top of the order. I'm probably out on Cabrera here. I mean, if you're playing a 20,000 person field and you're building 5 lineups or something, then maybe you have him on one team or something. But other than that, I'm probably out. Strider on the other side is definitely gonna be the top pitcher on the slate for good reason. I mean, this Marlins team, it really doesn't matter who Strider's facing, but Marlins aren't a good offense. They have a couple low strikeout bats in here, but overall pretty high strikeout team. But I mean, it doesn't matter. The team Strider's matchup proof when it comes to strikeout. So obviously love Strider here. He'll probably be like 70-80% on though in single entry. So with that being said, I never will fault you for getting off a pitcher at that ownership. I mean, it's just it's going to be hard. I'll probably just play him and get different elsewhere. But if you end up on the most popular stack that we'll get to a little bit later, maybe like the Diamondbacks or I don't know, the Blue Jays might be that high on stack, or even the Angels. Maybe you have to get off, or you can get off Strider if you need the salary or something to pay up for Trout and Ohtani or something like that. But I'm probably just gonna stick with Strider on this slate. I don't try to get too cute with him. He can go out there and put up 40 in any game, and that's something you have to win. So I'm probably gonna stick with him. The Marlins bats. So I mean, Strider has been giving up home runs. Been giving up about 1 or 2 a game at this point, but I think it's more to lefties if I had to guess. Low ISOs versus both sides. So I don't know. I'm really not going to target any of these Marlins. I mean, you could take a chance on somebody that has steal upside, maybe like Chisholm or Birdie or something like that, but they'd have to get on base to even have a chance at a steal. So I just feel like that's getting too cute on this slate. I'm not going to worry about that. Braves on the other side. I do love this spot for them. Anytime a pitcher has control issues, that's a great spot for a stack because 1 single, 2 walks. Next thing you know, a 3-run double, brings all your guys in or something. So I think the Braves are great on this spot. The only problem is their price. You're either going to have to, take like 2 guys from the top, maybe like Acuna, Murphy, but then you're going to have to go like Grissom, Hilliard, Pilar or something, just because the top of this order is very expensive and there's not a lot of cheap pitchers that will go to on this slate. So try to work them in any way you can. I think every one of them are in play. If you have to go, Rosario or Hilliard or Pilar, I don't mind that at all. I probably prefer the lefties of that bunch. We can check Cabrera real quick. He's actually really bad versus righties, so maybe I prefer Pilar over Hilliard and Rosario, and that makes me like Acuna and Riley even more on the slate, and Murphy. So as many of those Braves righties you can get in top of the order, and then maybe just mix and match like Grissom or Pilar at the bottom, I think is perfectly fine. So moving on, we got Tigers Brewers, 3.79 total for the Tigers, 4.71 for the Brewers. Matt Boyd versus Colin Ray. Matt Boyd is certainly interesting in this spot. He's great against lefties, and I feel like the Brewers have a few of these lefties that they just don't take out of the lineup. Like you'll see Yelich in there, might see Tellez in there. They might play Winker. I know they've had some injuries in the outfield, so either you can get a bad bat off the bench or it'll be Winker lefty. So I think Boyd is interesting here. as for cheap pitchers go, I kind of like him. I mean, will I get to cheap pitchers? Probably not. You know, I like to avoid the cheap pitchers, but he does have good numbers versus lefties. You can see that here. But good ISO numbers all around. So I think he'll kind of limit the power here for the Brewers. So I could see, I don't know, Boyd. I would, as for Boyd relative to Colin Ray, I think I'd rather have Boyd, especially that he's cheaper. But if you just took a one off here, maybe like Adames, Contreras, Anderson, Boyd, if he's in there. Weimer has insane numbers. It's probably low sample size. You only 13 plate appearances. I expect the Brewers to get some ownership here versus Boyd, but I don't really like it. I might not play Boyd, but that might just be because. But I also might not play the Brewers, I guess is what I'm getting at. Just because Boyd might be good enough. I'm not really going to chase, the one or two bats that maybe hit him for a home run or something. So, yeah, I think I'd be more likely to play Boyd over the Brewers, but I'm probably just out all around. I think both those kind of cancel each other out. Colin Ray on the other side, I think he's in a, I don't know, he's in a great spot. Obviously, but the Tigers are going to be able to throw a lot of lefties out there on him. So, I do like the spot here. All right, sorry about that. Thought Apollo was about to start barking. I was trying to mute real quick before he went crazy. So, all right, Ray, I hope he gets steamed up because I really don't like him in this spot. The Tigers, like I said, have so many lefties we can attack him with. Let's see what Ray's splits are. I think the Tigers make for a good cheap stack today. Yeah, Ray's very good versus lefties, not very good versus righties. So I could see getting to a few of the Tigers. The prices definitely help. These outfitters are cheap. Carpenter's been great. McKinstry's a solid second baseman. Haas, just as a catcher in general, I think he's a good play. Just to include in the stack. So I think the Tigers will be interesting. They might carry more ownership than they should. At the end of the day, they're still the Tigers. I think I'll probably just go to maybe a mini of them. Maybe try to get 3 guys, especially if Ray gets ownership. I could see going, like Maton, Carpenter, McKinstry, or something like that. I think that'd be a good mix, and hopefully it should allow you to get 2 aces and then a pretty good stack on the other side. So I do like the Tigers, but I'd be wary of them getting steamed up a lot across the board. I think we touched on the Brewers already. Maybe just a few guys: Adames, Contreras, Anderson. Brasso leads off. We get pinched hit for eventually, I feel like. So that makes me a little nervous, but anytime you get 2.3K in the leadoff spot, certainly a consideration. He probably is like a cash game play there, at third base. So, all right, moving on. We got Yankees Twins. 48 degrees here in Minnesota. It's 3.38 total for the Yankees, 4.12 total for the Twins. Johnny Brito versus Sonny Gray. So this is the matchup that I hit on about a week and a half ago. Was the Twins just took care of Brito in Yankee Stadium. They put up like 8 or 9 in the first inning. This is a completely different spot, I would say. That game was like mid to high 70s, 12 plus mile an hour wind blowing out. This is 48 degrees. So I will not be chasing that game or expecting the Twins to repeat by any means. So I think I'll more likely be off the batters in this game. But Brito at 6.8K, I don't want him either though. Like I said, it's a different spot, but we did just see the Twins get to him, so I would expect kind of just a mediocre game from them. Not good for the Twins, not good for Draftkings pitching wise either. Sonny Gray on the other side, I think it's probably going to be one of the more popular pitchers. The price is just pretty restrictive on him. I think obviously it's easier to pay for Bassett at 8K over Sonny Gray, but I think just point wise, Sonny Gray is in a good spot. That we just saw Gausman take care of this Yankees lineup. Just look at this is not the same Yankees lineup we're used to. It doesn't have Stanton. It doesn't have Donaldson. It's just missing a lot of guys, and it's actually projecting. No, there's Rizzo. Okay, so I think we got. Yeah, I do like Sonny Gray here in this spot. I think he's It's just if you can fit him in for that price. But I mean, this Yankees lineup is weak. I mean, look at the bottom of this order: Calhoun, Cabrera, Trevino, Cordero. Just not worried about it at all. So Yankees bats, I think I would, in this weather, I mean, maybe Rizzo. That wind blowing out to right field is interesting. Calhoun might show up in your projections just because he's a cheap outfielder. They might spit him in there just as like a one-off. I don't love that as a one-off, so I'm probably out on the Yankees overall. Like I said, I might kind of consider Rizzo. Cordero's had a great been jacking homers all season, so maybe if he's in there, but I prefer to see him at like batting 5 or 6. Maybe if he swaps spots with Calhoun, I could see maybe getting to Cordero. On the Twin side, probably out overall. Let me see. Burrito's splits. Like I said, it's too cold really for me to take the full stack here. But obviously we just saw him tear him up, so maybe a few bats here or there would be okay. Yeah, Burrito's really good against lefties, terrible against righties. So I'd actually, I guess, I think I saw Michael Taylor had 2 homers for me last game out in this spot. I would not expect that again. That was definitely an outlier for Michael Taylor. I could see getting to like Buxton, Correa, Polanco, Miranda, and then even Vasquez. So I probably won't go to a full stack, but I wouldn't fault you if you go there. But I think I'll definitely be considering a few guys here in the spot, especially Miranda, 2.7K. I like that. And Correa, 4.5K is too cheap for his upside. So we can move on. A's, Angels. We have Ken Waldichuk versus Jose Suarez. 4.06 total for the A's, 5.94 total for the Angels. Waldichuk at 6.3K. No interest here against the Angels. It's just too tough of a lineup, especially for a lefty. I mean, just look at all these righties in here. The only lefty is Ohtani. I mean, that's just too hard for any lefty to take care of. Suarez on the other side, I think if you go cheap, that's probably where you go. But man, he's been bad this year. And the A's, I feel like, have, for the most part, kind of limited damage or kind of been bad to take pitchers against. I don't know if they're kind of avoiding strikeouts or what. I mean, outside of, DeGrom put up 11 or whatever on them, but they still got a homer off of them. So I think the A's are interesting here in this spot. They just have just enough like cheap righties that I think you could take some one-off. So if you go cheap, I'll probably end up on Suarez just because that 5.8K, but I will not be, seeking that. I'm going to try to build with, 2 of Strider, Bassett, Gray, Cobb, probably, and then go from there. The righties on this side, though, I like Rooker. I think Ruiz at the top is great stolen base upsides. He's interesting. Aguilar's interesting for a cheap first baseman. Then I do like Langoliers if you need the captain. So never easy to full stack the A's, but take a few pieces here. If Suarez, gets steamed up and he's coming in at 40 or 50% ownership, then A's make for massive leverage here on this slate. So we'll just have to play around with it. You should be able to pay for Strider and Gray if you end up stacking the A's. So maybe just play around with it and see what you can build. The Angels on the other side, I do obviously love them. I think they're probably one of the highest on stacks of the day. They have just enough cheap hitters to pair with some of the top. Like we always talk about, it is tough when 4 of their top 5 are outfield. It looks like Ohtani has first base eligibility now, so that's good. So I could see Ward, Ohtani, Trout. I'm probably gonna skip Rendon for now. He just hadn't done it yet this year. I could see going like Ward, Ohtani, Trout. And then maybe like Drury, Wallach, or Wallach, Nito. I could see something like that. But there should have enough cheap guys in there. You can build something pretty good with the Angels. So I really like them in this spot. All right, Royals, Diamondbacks. We got 4.72 total for the Royals, 5.28 for the Diamondbacks. Brad Keller, 7.5K versus Tommy Henry at 5K. Probably out on Keller here. He's a low strikeout pitcher. The Diamondbacks are kind of pesky enough to kind of limit a big pitching performance from Keller, so I'm probably out there. Tommy Henry on the other side, there's just no interest, especially if the roof's open. We've seen Diamondbacks open the roof pretty much every night game, so I would expect the same. Tommy Henry's a mediocre minor league pitcher at best, so I really don't like him here in the spot. I'm probably just going to stay off of him. The Royals on the other side, y'all know I'll play the Royals any day, so the fact that they're in a good spot, certainly have interest in them. Their prices are fair. I mean, Olivares 3.2, Pasquantino, I don't mind lefty. I'll still play him there. I think he had a home run lefty yesterday against Reed Detmers, so not worried there. Dozier really like that. Fran Mills on paternity leave. He's not currently in the DraftKings player pool, but he might get added, last minute. I think we saw Betts get added last minute. So really any combination of the Royals here, I could see going with the top 4 batters and then maybe Dozier as well. And then Duffy's had a good season too. So kind of any combination, but the Royals are definitely in play for me. The Diamondbacks on the other side are also in play. I've been playing them a lot this year as well. Their stolen base upside just kind of makes up for any lack of power they have. So I think they can certainly get to Keller in this spot. Any of the top 4 batters, I can see myself playing. Pavin Smith has been really good so far this year, but I still probably lean Walker. 3.3 is just way too cheap for Walker. I mean, what do you have, like 35 plus, maybe 40 home runs last year, and we can get him at 3.3K. That's just way too low. And then I would definitely throw in the catcher Moreno. He's been pretty good this year, so I would include him for sure in any stack. So really any mix of the Diamondbacks I think are in play on the slate against Keller. All right, last game, we got Cardinals-Giants. 4.09 total for the Cardinals, 3.91 for the Giants. It's Jordan Montgomery, 9.5K. Alex Cobb, 8.9K. 57 degrees, 11 mile per hour wind blowing out. But it's kind of a neutral. The stadium neutralizes wind pretty well, so more just a temp that matters. So just kind of a, slightly cool day in San Francisco. But this price tag on these pitchers are kind of brutal. I mean, 9.5K for Montgomery. I know the Giants have been terrible versus lefties, but that price is just tough. And Cobb on the other side, 8.9K against a good team like the Cardinals makes it hard to play him. I think both of these guys are probably in a tier below, like Strider, Bassett, and Gray, I would say. But is really I wish they were like 1K cheaper, both of them, and I could probably see myself ending up on them. Let's check Cobb real quick. We're more worried about the righties for the Cardinals, so yeah, he is better versus righties, at least. Well, about even actually, all around. So I don't know. He's a ground ball pitcher. I wouldn't expect a lot of strikeouts, but he should also limit the home run upside here for the Cardinals. So probably out on Cobb, but it does make me hesitant for the Cardinals hitters. Montgomery on the other side, I mean, look at these strikeout rates for the Giants. They've been absolutely terrible versus lefties this year. Montgomery, let's see, the only problem with Montgomery, though, is like, look at his splits. He's a great strikeout guy versus lefties, not a great strikeout guy versus righties. So they kind of equal each other out. But this price is, the price is just tough, even in this spot. I mean, these strikeout rates are huge, though. I can see Montgomery getting some love, but I think at that price, I'd rather just go to Gray or Bassett, really. So, like I said, I don't know. It's a pretty good pitcher and a great spot, but 9.5 is just too much for Montgomery, in my opinion. Cardinals on the other side, I'm probably out overall. Like I said, Cobb's good enough. He's a ground ball pitcher, so makes it tough to kind of pick, a home run here or there. The lefties are no longer cheap for the Cardinals, and the righties are expensive and in a tough spot, so I'm probably out there as well. Overall, the Giants, I mean, you could certainly go with like JD Davis or Darren Ruff. The Estrada price is just too high. Flores, he'll probably get pinched hit for. You probably see Lamonte Wade come in or something like that. I hate taking the Giants. You cannot guarantee 9 innings from almost any batter. I mean, Conforto is probably the only one that would get 9 innings just because he's already in there versus a lefty. But then you're taking Conforto lefty against a good pitcher, or good splits for Montgomery. So maybe just you could chase the upside here in the middle with Davis, Ruff, or VR. That'd probably be all I'd have interest in though. All right. So let's see. Recapping real quick, pitcher wise, I think we have kind of a top 3: Strider, Gray, and Bassett. If you can pay for Strider and Gray, I think that's good. But I think that'll be pretty restrictive on the rest of your team if you pay up for those guys. So if you have to go cheap, I'd probably lean Suarez, but I think Matt Boyd makes for an interesting pivot here as well against the Brewers that just really struggle against lefties. So I think Boyd or Suarez is where I'd go cheap, but y'all know I don't like to go cheap. I think we can find plenty of bats to get different. Hitters wise, I think some of the top offenses are probably the Angels, Braves, and Blue Jays. I think they should carry the ownership, though, to follow. But, I mean, it's going to be tough to pay for those teams if you pay up for 2 aces. So you're going to have to, play around with it and see see what you can get. As for cheaper stacks, I think the Tigers are certainly in play here on this spot. The A's, I think, are in play. I mean, they are super cheap. So if you end up on Strider and Gray, you might be able to make a pretty good lineup with the A's and still mix in, guys like Acuna or something like that as one-offs. I think, but this whole game, Royals, Diamondbacks are in play as well. So, all right, hopefully that helps. Looking to get back on track this week. I'm excited for this slate. The Draftkings has some good single entry contests. They're like 222, 0.22, and 44.44, and a 5.55 single entry contest that like run throughout the week, and they've got payout extra based on how you do all week. So I'm going to be trying to hit those and kind of get that extra bonus. So if that $5 one's in your bankroll, or kind of in the spot you like to play, I would definitely target that just to potentially get the extra payout if you have a good week. So, all right. Thanks everybody. Like, comment, subscribe to the video. It really helps me out. Helps me figure out what you guys like to see. We can start focusing maybe a little more on like past slates as I get like a back-to-back video or something like that. And if I have a good night or something, we can break it down and I can walk through my process a little bit more. So, all right. Like I said, hope this helps, and I'll see you guys at the top.